are now switching to pre-opinion. I did not make a sheet this time because each team has been doing it different ways. So I didn't want you to feel like it was a hoop to jump through. But just like before, once we finish scoring, we're going to be finding those teaching trends, that 80% whole class target, which you're going to start with tomorrow, identifying the small group by skill. And most likely, what the trend has been with 6th grade and 5th grade was the kids are starting much higher. So your first teaching point is probably going to be significantly different than what we did with informative for sure, but even last year with what we did with opinion, because the kids are already starting with the structure in place, many of them, so that's a success. Yeah, that is a woohoo. Just as a reminder that we'll be basing it off of CCAP and Common Core. I actually am going to be using the Common Core standard as a reference today. At the end, we're going to be doing a discussion around needs and strengths of teammates and the resources available in this room and what strategies you guys used last year in order to start teaching this. And then just as a reminder, setting up a time with your coach and or principal to plan that unit. Really thinking about that big picture first and doing that backwards planning, because this unit is going to go by very, very quickly. And so if we don't have that big picture view, we don't have time to not have the big picture view, let's put it that way.
Big picture me up.
Big picture view needed.
So it's due on March 15th?
It's due on March 15th. We are scoring on March 15th. And
We are scoring on March 15th.
right, so it'll actually technically be due then the week before that. So as a reminder, opinion is the big umbrella. Okay, when we think about Common Core, there are 3 big terms. It's informative, narrative, and opinion. Okay, so similar to informative, informative had many different smaller subgenres of it. So you should have experienced or had the kids read or write, compare, contrast, problem solution, summaries, how to.
Salute.
Can't think of any others at the moment. Within narrative, narrative is your big umbrella, and we do the subgenres of fantasy fiction, realistic fiction, historical fiction, nonfiction stories, again and again, okay? Within opinion, the 2 subgenres are argumentative and persuasive. Let me go to this slide first. I'm going to switch those around. This is on my website. I'm going to pull that up in a second.
Do you
And
want me to go get some of those?
yes, if you don't mind, that'd be great.
You have copies of those?
Yep. And this just kind of clearly identifies the differences between the 3. And the reason why I want to just make this so prominent is because there is a clear, there are some pieces missing within CCAP. CCAP is more geared towards persuasive writing. 6th grade is where argumentative writing starts, but there are going to be some kiddos who could possibly be ready for that even in 4th grade. We had several kids yesterday in 5th grade that we were ready to push up to that next level of understanding. But the biggest difference between it is where the audience lies and the point of view lies between the 3, okay? Our assessment, our PARC assessment, is going to be more in the opinion aisle. So we just need to acknowledge that there are those different pieces. CAP is well written, it has great resources in there, but I just want to acknowledge the differences between the 3, okay? So opinion is the writer states what he thinks and why he thinks it. The writer seeks to be heard and wants to share his ideas or opinions. He is not concerned with getting something, okay? He just wants to voice his thoughts. Versus persuasive, the writer needs an intended audience to address his request or need to, who can give him what he wants. So it's really more of a formatting issue, or, you know, writing your congressman, writing your principal, creating a class paper that's going to debate and talk the kids into agreeing with him or her. Okay, opinion's gonna be more like, which character do you think shows the trait of honesty best?
Right, we just did, what is the top 10 reasons you would wanna be a British loyal soldier versus the top 10 reasons for a colonist. So the kids had to come up with what they thought was the best reason, and they're gonna share them out, not to persuade, but to see if they could get more opinions and add more to their ideas.
Perfect. Okay.
And Amy, this may
Yes,
be
ma'am.
off topic a little bit, but why is it when we teach author's purpose, I mean, there's not, in fourth grade, there's not a lot of persuasive stuff, but I swear they pick it every time. They constantly think, everything's trying to persuade them, and, I flat out told them, probably, you're not gonna have something that's persuasive, it's either informative, or, and it's either
Because
nonfiction or
it's a
fiction.
fun technique for the kids to use. It goes back to what they feel comfortable with.
Every
Commercial.
time, and
It's what they
like,
feel comfortable with, it's their knowledge base. So they resort to
I
what
don't
they know
understand.
already.
Natural born arguers.
Uh-huh.
They are, I mean,
But that drives me crazy, they're missing these easy questions. Why did the author write this? Oh, it's to persuade you. No, it's not. They're giving you information, they're not persuading you to do anything.
Well, that might then, as we introduce this genre, defining what persuasion is.
versus.
Another document that I have, and I'll see if I can get on a computer that will let me print. I have a document that shows the difference between persuasive,
Well, and we did the Frayer models that you gave us last year,
Yeah.
that helped a lot.
yeah,
I love.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just been a whole day on that.
what's an
talking about
argument,
it,
what's
yeah.
a reason, what's a, yep, and all the different word choices. The mnemonic, just so you know what's out there, this side of the room, you guys will be doing tree. Columbine Hills does Oreo, it's the same thing, cause I had some questions from Columbine Hills people throughout the week. But the O and the O is your T and the E on tree, so it
Okay.
serves the same purpose, you're gonna use the same scales. The only change that you're gonna make is within where it says topic, introduction, you might just wanna put the word opinion there, but the same thing's gonna be true for you guys. You guys are gonna wanna put the word opinion there, where it says topic introduction, so those two things should be going together. The topic introduction incorporates the opinion. And I'm gonna keep pushing people to writing those thesis statements when we have evidence that we're using from a text. If it's just a write from head, they don't need that thesis statement, obviously. It can just be a broad overview of what their paper's gonna be about, but it's gonna be similar to what you guys did for informative. So before we get started today, because I know how everybody feels at the end of the day, so I'm gonna start with my most important things first, so that when you're tired, you won't have to listen to me. There are several things on my website that I have added, and the formatting is not very clear on here, because when I change into it folds over on each other, so I apologize for that. There are several different writing prompts that I have on here that could be used if you're using it in conjunction with CCAP, because it's more of a research-based opinion persuasive on CCAP, where kids have to take a position and then talk you into it. I do not recommend you just printing this off, because there are several prompts on here that are inappropriate, especially for fourth graders.
But a lot of this stuff doesn't come from an article. What do you recommend, doing a mixture of them? Because
Yes,
everything we do is from an article.
yes, I would do a mixture of both, because there's also gonna be, times where the kids should be able to come up just from their head. However, that being said, to me, you can almost always find something that goes along with it. So even if I'm talking about my favorite type of ice cream, or why ice cream is better than candy bars, I could probably find a statistic that would support that. And when we think about our reading standards, within the reading standards, we still have to teach research, use of quotes, all of those things are incorporated within reading, why not include it in your writing? So, there are several things on here that you could use and go through and make sure that it is, appropriate to your grade level. That is one option.
Thank you for having a more updated one, because, you know, we've all had files of prompts to use, and they're so old school that it's
Yeah.
nice to have some social media and different.
There's
sections
several on
there.
here. This is the one that we used last year, so you can go back to that one. This one, I believe, has more, this one has been, sorted through a little bit better. But again, fourth grade is kind of right on the border, but at least it might give you an idea of what the possibilities are, because sometimes it's just coming up with some different ideas. That 3 chart, the difference between opinion, persuasive, and argumentative is on here, so you can download that, and if you want to use that with your students, you're more than welcome to use that, because that might be something good to bring about as well too, to show the difference in the purpose. There are several mentor texts on here.
Okay, the, opinion, persuasive, argumentative.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
how would you explain, I understand we have this chart and everything, but what's, so opinion is the overall,
Generic,
the generic,
I'm not
we're
trying
always
to talk
doing-
anybody into anything, I believe,
But
It is.
in reality, opinion, but you want them to persuade, right? I mean.
nope, not always, no.
You can just give your opinion.
You're
and
just
not tell
giving
me
your
someone.
opinion.
You're
Not
giving your
trying to
opinion
go for
and
lunch.
evidence, it's the tone that changes. You should come and see what I'm making for lunch today. For lunch, the most important thing to have is chocolate on my plate.
It's like you're selling.
You're selling.
So we should explain it as, there's 3, sometimes they're gonna ask you just for your opinion, sometimes they're gonna ask you to persuade your writer, sometimes they're gonna ask you to give an argument
And I would agree
on
with
the
Danny,
side.
it's formatting, so what format do you want it in? Is it a letter that you're writing? Is it a class speech that you're writing? Is it
The
a,
letter would be persuasive,
okay,
argument.
versus an opinion is really just gonna be that text-based.
It's like a conversation.
It's a conversation piece, and I just need to show evidence to back up what my belief system
It's
is.
just why you
I
think
could
this.
care less what you think about it. I just have to prove my point. There is no right
So
or
you
wrong
wouldn't want,
opinion.
like an opinion, you're not gonna do a call to action at the end, you
No
would
call to
just
action,
do-
right.
You would just do,
For these
Yeah. For these
reasons,
reasons, chocolate is my favorite.
chocolate is the best.
so what are we looking for then? So we have to, how do you decide if it's opinion, persuasive, argument, it's for the prompt?
Yes.
So Amy, one of our next things is, and the reason Carrie brought up the 10 reasons, is that we were going to have them, we're studying the American Revolution, we were gonna have them write a paper, would they be a loyal, British loyalist, or would they be a patriot?
Okay.
And so,
Come at it each.
that would just be opinion, right? Because you just have to give reasons why you would be a loyalist and why you would be, a
Exactly.
colonist, right? So it's just opinion.
Right,
So that's
so
okay,
there's-
right? Because that's what we want to do
I
next.
would say
Present it.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about,
Right.
when you're thinking about word choice
What are you gonna do?
and tone, that's where you're gonna see the difference come up. So if you're seeing the end of, you'll typically especially see it at the end. Yesterday, the kids were supposed to write about what the penguins, what were some of the challenges that the rescuers
What were the
faced
most difficult challenges the rescuers faced?
with the penguins?
So they had to decide what was most difficult about it.
There was no right or wrong, they just had to pick reasons and then
So
support
why
it.
they were difficult.
One of the endings was, you should go out and save penguins now. Is that appropriate to the task?
This was extremely.
Trying to take advantage.
Right. There, and on top of that, is there a likelihood of going out and saving penguins? Not gonna happen, right? So it happens more within the formatting of it, it happens more within the tone of voice and the word choice that goes along with it. Is there a time and place for persuasive? Absolutely there is. And showing them the difference of, possibly finding ads